Hi, it's Therese and Lostinpaper, and I'm here with my same but different Christmas card series for 2016, and today is all about mass production. So, in true style of mass production, I've got everything ready to go. This is the main time saver, and I've kind of got my plan, most of my plan worked out in my head what I'm going to do. I have 6 panels of cardstock. They're cut the same size as my card front, and I'm actually die cutting the Merry die from MFT. This is one of those window dies. I'm going to change it up a little bit, but what I do is actually do all this die cutting all at once. So, and here I'm not even taking my tape off my die. I'm saving time, and I'm actually flipping my die around as I'm rolling it through the machine, just so that my plate doesn't get too warped in one particular spot. So this die isn't actually, I think it's discontinued, but you can actually still get it. I have seen it on, I did Google, I found it in a couple of shops, so it is available, but it's not one that's made anymore by MFT. So I'm doing the whole sort of die cutting process of all the 6 cards at once, and then I'm actually going to cut the top off this. I want this to sort of sit up off the front of the card and not actually be a window as such. So I'm using my Fiscus trimmer that's got the guide wire, and that makes it heaps easier to work out where I'm going to be cutting. The stamp set I'm using today is an older one. It's from Annabelle Stamps, which is a design team, a company I used to work for, and so you can't get this Santa stamp anymore, but you could use any kind of fun stamp here for whatever image you like. But I use my Misty. Using a Misty tool is such a time saver when it comes to multiple or mass producing cards, but you don't have to have one to do that, of course. You can use a stamp press or just use a simple block. And one other time saving thing that I did do on this card is I actually stamped my sentiment at the same time that I stamped my image, and that comes from a Mama Elephant set called Jolly and Merry. So now I'm going to do my Copic colouring. So I did use some tuxedo black on my image, and I'm doing 3 cards at a time here and kind of sticking to the one colour, working my way across all the panels. And you notice I coloured straight through the button on Santa's jacket on the last card, because that's when I remembered. And I'm not going to actually see it. And it was driving me crazy colouring around circles. Circles are the hardest thing to colour with Copics, and red is a pain as well. I don't know if you know, but it bleeds and it's a pain. So I did very little shading on the Santa. I just kept, because he's he looks a bit comic-y, so I did keep it fairly simple. I actually shaded the reindeer more than I did the Santa. I will list all the colours over at my blog, because I think I did miss some leaving them out as I was colouring, and I know it's not the easiest to see when there's sort of 3 at once. I just wanted to show you the process more than the actual colouring today. So with mass producing, it's not one of my favourite things to do, because I like to make a unique card and something special for someone, but sometimes you just need to take the plunge and make a stack of one style of card, because it's better to get a card that's handmade from you. It doesn't matter if it's the same as the card that you delivered to someone else, or very similar to the card that you delivered to someone else. It's still handmade, it's still from you. You've put thought and effort into it. It's not cheating in that respect. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel with mass production. So that's one of the real time savers. You're actually using the same design each time. You're doing all your steps together each time, which just means you can make a lot more cards and hand out a lot more cards without the pressure of trying to recreate every time. So what I'm doing here is actually, I want to pop, I know it's not the simplest of cards. I don't know why I chose to mass produce this one, but anyway, I wanted to. This is a piece of fun foam. It's cut the same width of the card, and I'm using the Merry die again, and I'm not even taking the tape off. I'm running it through there 4 times, because that's just what fitted on this particular die. And then I just use my straight long scissors to cut the top off that. And that way I can actually pop this whole panel is going to be popped up on the front of the card. I'm using my matte medium because it's a nice strong glue and it doesn't end up sticky, and I don't want this sticking to the envelope if I'm going to post this out on the inside. That would be irritating. And then because it is a little bit slower drying, I do use my stamp blocks to hold the paper in place while it dries. So I'm going to do that for all the cards, and then once it's dry I can just remove those inset pieces of fun foam. I just find that the foam and adhering letters over top of foam is much easier if it's still in place. Seems less stretched, but I just use my scissors actually to trim the edges off that. The paper pad today I have is a crepe paper one. It's another old one. I'm just using my stash. I thought these papers were really cute, and this is one way that I have actually changed up the design for each card. I've just chosen different papers so they do look slightly different. And that makes me happy. The fact that they're not exactly all the same. Just using my ATG gun to hold that in place. I have a love-hate relationship with my ATG. I love it. It's great. It's just such an affordable way to add tape to a card, but sometimes I struggle. Okay, so I've added another piece of fun foam. I'm doing this in production line style again, and using my ATG. I prefer adding it to the cardstock. I find that works better. So by holding the cards beside each other, have you see how I'm holding the panel and the card? That way I know where I need to add my ATG. I didn't bother adding it behind the letters. It's such a big panel that it should hold in place. I did leave the star till last because I wasn't sure what papers I was going to use or what colour I wanted it, and so that's why I'm only doing that now. I decided to make some of them different though. I've got 3 yellow stars here, and I've got a distress marker. This is just the squeeze lemon one, and I'm adding a little bit of sparkles around the star, and just got my Copic multi-liner to sort of make those sparkles look almost like little circles. And of course it needs some shimmer, and that's where my Spectrum Noir crystal pen came in handy. And finally I'm going to add these are the Nuvo glossy black ebony drops, and I pre-made all the buttons for the Santa's jacket. I know some people have said if they pre-make them they tend to end up a bit flat, and I found that is true, but mostly when I've tried it on the clear acetate sheets, if I actually use like a sticker release sheet, I have less problems with that. They do seem to pop up a bit higher, and they're really cute. I like them, and they're really affordable too, cheaper than enamel dots. And that's my set of cards today. I know they're fairly similar, but I did have a request for some mass production tips, and I thought I'd share how to do that and still make it the same but different. So I'll see you next time. Till then, happy paper crafting. Bye.